How's it going, guys? Easy PC here, back with another video. Today I'm going to be bringing you a updated $700 gaming PC build guide. This is going to be updated in July of 2018, and GPU prices have come down significantly since the summer of last year when cryptocurrency mining was driving the prices of GPUs through the roof. Luckily, now they're finally cooling off a bit. They're still a tad bit high, but building a custom gaming PC is now a lot easier and a lot more affordable. Before I get started with the parts, you can find all of them listed and linked down below in the description, and you can also find a more in-depth guide on my website, which is also linked down below. So with that being said, we're going to jump right into the video. Starting things off with the CPU, I went for the AMD Ryzen 5 1400. It's a 3.2 GHz quad-core processor with multi-threading, so it's actually got 8 threads. AMD's Ryzen line has become incredibly popular as they're very cost-effective and powerful CPUs. The CPU is coming in at $138. The Ryzen 5 1400 is a fantastic CPU. I did not go for a Ryzen 7 or an i7 CPU because you don't really need a really fast CPU for gaming as long as it doesn't bottleneck your graphics card. Bottlenecking means when your graphics card is working a lot faster than your CPU and your CPU cannot keep up. But this CPU will not bottleneck. It's really fast. It's going to be able to handle a lot of different games. You're not going to have any problems with it. It's also going to be great for any kind of rendering, video streaming, video editing, recording, anything like that you want to do. The CPU can do it all. Now for the motherboard, I chose the Gigabyte GA AB350M Gaming 3. It's a micro-atx AM4 motherboard, but it's only $80 and it does support crossfires. This motherboard has 4 RAM slots and supports up to DDR4 3200 MHz memory. It also has crossfire support, so you can add a second GPU in the future if you'd like. 6 SATA 6 GB per second ports, onboard Ethernet, and onboard USB 3 headers. It also has an AMD B350 chipset, which means you can overclock your CPU if you like, and you don't even have to buy an aftermarket CPU cooler because AMD's Ryzen line comes with very effective default stock coolers. My Ryzen 3 1200 is running at 4 GHz with a stock cooler without overheating or anything like that. However, if you want to do any kind of heavy overclocking, an aftermarket air cooler like a Hyper 212 EVO or a water cooler is preferable. For the RAM, I chose one stick of Corsair Vengeance LPX 8 GB DDR4 2400 memory. It's only 8 GB, and I know that some games now, especially in 2018, are recommending 12 to 16 GB. However, I still have 8 in my build, and it works just fine. I also left room for you to add a second stick in this build for 16 gigs in the future if you want to do that. RAM is still a bit expensive, so I wasn't able to include 12 or 16 GB. But if you want to shell out an extra $80, you can go ahead and get a second 8 GB stick for 16 GB total. I also went for DDR4 2400 and instead of DDR4 2133 because Ryzen CPUs are heavily dependent, or at least more so than other CPUs, on the speed of your RAM. So the speed of your RAM has a direct impact on the performance of your CPU, so I would definitely recommend going for at least 2400. You might even be able to overclock that in the future. For the storage, I went for a 240 GB 2.5 inch solid state drive, the SanDisk SSD Plus. It's $54, and I know that for the price of around $50, you could get a 1 TB mechanical hard drive. For example, the WD Caviar Blue is a drive of choice, kind of the go-to drive in a lot of builds, especially on my channel. However, I do feel that having an SSD makes a world of a difference in your gaming PC, and I could not include both an SSD and a 1 TB drive in this build because of the budget. So I thought that it would be better to go for the 240 GB solid state drive. If you load your Windows and drivers onto the SSD, your computer will boot in about 30. If it's completely off, your computer will boot in about 30 seconds from being totally off to ready to go. If you've ever felt like your computer has had to warm up, for example, you turn your computer on, it's kind of slow at first, maybe it takes a few minutes before it's really usable. It's because you don't have your operating system or drivers on a solid state drive, but rather a mechanical drive. And mechanical drives are great for mass storage of files, applications, movies, music, photos, maybe even some games. But if you want to have a lightning fast and really responsive computer, an SSD is really mandatory. I know that 240 gigs is not a whole lot, especially if you like to have a lot of games downloaded at once. I have a 240 GB SSD, a 120 GB SSD, and a 1 TB drive. I have my Windows and my operating system and all that on the 240 gig, and I have like maybe 4 or 5 games downloaded. And then the rest, everything else I keep on my 120 gig SSD and the 1 TB drive. So the 240 gig should be good for now, and maybe in a month or two, if you have an extra $50, you can add a 1 TB mechanical hard drive, which I will link down below in the description as well. When I first built my gaming PC, I did not have a solid state drive, and once I upgraded to and transferred all of my files over to it, I was like, wow, I can't believe I didn't do this sooner. The difference is night and day. For the graphics card, I went for a Gigabyte Radeon RX 580 8GB gaming video card. It's $300, but right now there's a $30 promo, and that's going to drop the price to $270. So with the promo, it brings the actual base total of this build to around $705. Without the promo, it's like $735. So it's a little tiny bit over budget, but it's really a great deal if I'm being completely honest with you. These parts are much cheaper than they were a few months ago, so I would definitely act on it if you're looking for a gaming PC, or at least to build your own. This RX 580 has, like I said, 8GB of dedicated VRAM DDR5, which is very important for high-resolution gaming, especially if you want to run games with high or ultra settings. 4GB is okay, but now in 2018, especially to future-proof for 2019, having 8GB is very important. It has a core clock of 1.26 GHz, but these cards overclock well. You can get it up to around 1.35 GHz. Unfortunately, this card is a bit power hungry, consuming around 185 watts, but it shouldn't be a big deal with our power efficient power supply that I chose for the build, which is the Corsair CXM 550 80+ bronze certified. It's a semi-modular ATX power supply coming in at $60. I have one in my build. I've had it for a few years now. I love it, and the best part, in my opinion, is it's quiet and semi-modular, meaning cable management will be very easy. And lastly, housing the entire build, I went for the BitPhoenix Comrade Atx Mid Tower Case. It's a pretty solid case. I used it for a few years. I have upgraded to a bigger one since then, but it has plenty of storage for your internal drives. It has 3 internal 2.5-inch bays, 3 internal 3.5-inch bays, and 3 external 5.25-inch bays. It also has front panel USB 3 ports. It's an all-around nice case. It's good looking, it's clean, it's solid. You can get it in a variety of colors. It has good airflow, and that's going to bring our build to a close. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you guys next time. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.